Get a plan for life. The City of Moose Jaw's new official community plan and zoning bylaw. The process is underway for that creation. And key players are joining us on the Notorious Jawcast right now. They are Brenda and Alan Wallace from Wallace Insights. Thanks for joining us, Brenda and Alan.
Yes, thanks for having me.
And the City of Moose Jaw's Director of Planning and Development is Michelle Sanson. Michelle, thanks again for joining us.
Well, thanks for having us, Craig.
Well, there's a lot to get through, and it's an exciting process, which is just underway. And Michelle, I'll start with you. Of course, City Council approved the creation of a new official community plan and zoning bylaw. And so can you give us a background as to why, as a city, we feel this is important?
Sure. So we've been working with an official community plan that was started in probably 2002, and the engagement was done even prior to 2005. Our existing official community plan was adopted in 2011, so it's almost 12 years since it's been adopted, and even the policies and such were created long before that. So it's almost 20 years old. So definitely time to adopt a new plan, and we're really excited to engage the community and start that process.
And for those asking already, let's answer it. What is an official community plan?
Well, an official community plan is our overarching policy document for the city. How do we want to grow and develop within the city? And what does that look like going forward? And it includes a lot of policy for parks, for public works, for engineering, for planning, for developers when they're looking at coming to the city. We want to look at economic development and all of those types of issues that we can create and policies and use to grow our city.
And really for tying decisions, because there are so many different things can get presented to our city council and to our city about what we could and should do. But this plan allows us to, whatever proposal comes our way, we can point to the plan and go, does this fit? Is that right?
That's correct. So this does provide a land development plan. So does it make sense to put this type of business in this location? Does it, it makes sense to grow here in terms of servicing? And it'd allow us working with developers when we do meet with them to provide some answers, and instead of trying to guess, is this gray and do we need to go to council and have them work on this? This will provide us a little more guidance on that and help meeting with those developers and providing those answers to them during those meetings.
Brendan Allen Wallace, as we mentioned, from Wallace Insights, and they, along with Crosby and Hanna Associates, are consultants to help draft the new OCP and zoning bylaw. And Alan, let's start with you and talk about your background. About 30 plus years with the city of Saskatoon, including a few as their director of planning before moving into the private sector. What are a couple of overriding goals in creating an OCP and why they and how they can be successful?
Well, thanks, Greg. And yes, my experience is almost tipping 40 years now. And so I've been in planning and development a long time, and not just with the city of Saskatoon, but I'm in my 7th year of consulting and have worked with municipalities in Alberta and Saskatchewan. And a lot of them have been connected to or direct updates of official community plans. They call them development plans or municipal development plans in Alberta. But essentially, these things are, it's a framework. As Michelle mentioned, these are pretty important documents. They help council, they help administration deal with the myriad of issues that come to council, every year. And a lot of the people that use official community plans and understand what they're for, they feel that they're very helpful. It's a starting point. It's something to evaluate development, to ensure you're growing sustainably is extremely important at these times. And we're going to be adding some things that are missing to the Moose Jaw official community plan. There's some topic areas that aren't addressed, principally around, mitigation to climate change and addressing the statements of provincial interest. And that's another kind of layer of policy that comes to us from the province. Every municipality in Saskatchewan has to be able to show that it aligns with the statements of provincial interest. So without getting too technical for people, it's an important document. It's a high-level document. It's something that can be amended. It's not carved in stone, as people tend to say, and we typically look about 10 to 15 years out. So what we're asking people to do is put on their thinking caps, look ahead to 10 to 15 years, and try to describe what they think Moose Jaw looks like in that time frame.
We'll get to the full engagement strategy in a moment, but Brenda, you've been crafting that strategy for us. But let's start with your background, including the fact that you're from Moose Jaw.
My parents
Your parents
live in
are here.
Moose Jaw and do enjoy coming to visit quite regularly. So this has been a lot of fun to engage with the community and talk about the official community plan, because it is probably one of the most primary documents the city of Moose Jaw will have that is directly resonant with the community's values. And that's really what this is. It's a crafting a vision for what does Moose Jaw want to be, that 10 to 15 years into the future that Alan talked about. And how do we not only give City Council and the administration something to work from that's documented, but the community as well. The community also pitches in and they co-create their community by their investment decisions and the kinds of programs and things that get brought to bear in the community. And so this is about getting everyone rowing in the same direction for that future vision towards some goals.
Now, we kicked things off this past weekend. We're recording this on January 30th. We had our first interactive project display at the Kinsman Sportsplex, but not to fear if you missed that one, because there's several more. And Brendan, can you take us through the next several weeks and the type of engagement opportunities our residents are going to have?
For sure. And absolutely, we are at the beginning, not anywhere near the end of a project of this scale. In fact, a project this size can take a year or more to bring to fruition. And we have a very intensive first phase of engagement that includes pop-up events like one we had recently at the Kinsman Sportsplex, and will pop up at a variety of other places in the community. Also, stakeholder workshops, many of which are open to the public. And a big community event, April 5th, where we'll be bringing in a special keynote speaker and hearing from Moose Javians from a variety of different age groups to get their kind of perspectives on the future of Moose Jaw. Then later, as we start to really dig into the policies and start working on the future plan, we'll engage people again with an open house, and all of this and how to get involved is all described on a project webpage at moosejaw.ca/OCP. And we have the schedule of what's coming up and where you can go and where you can give your input, including surveys online or a comment form right there.
Yeah, if you can't make it to any of the in-person things or don't want to for various reasons, that's fine. Again, you can still give your input in other ways. We want to make this as open as possible and as easy as possible to get that interaction. Michelle, I think our general timeline is, Brenda indicated these things can take some time. It's going to be several months, but what is the rough project timeline in terms of trying to get a draft put in front of our city council?
I think our initial hope was to have it all completed prior to the end of 2023, but maybe with some adjustments in terms of engagement, we're going to probably have to push that back into 2024. But that's okay, only because I think it would be better for the plan as long as we do engage all of those that we need to and get the response from the community included in the plan. And I think that is our most important role here, is to make sure that we have included everybody that needs to be included. And if that does push it back into 2024, I think that's okay.
We're trying to keep things as clear as possible for residents and easy to understand, but certainly we're in the middle of a lot of plans in the city of Moose Jaw. Parks and Recreation, the master plan, final draft has just come back. We're in the midst of creating a culture plan. And Alan, as opposed to maybe, this confusing the issue, I guess let's talk about how even those plans can play a role in the OCP.
Well, that is a really good question, Craig. And we recognize coming into this project that there's a number of things that the city is undertaking, and they started ahead of this plan here. There's a fair amount of integration that we have to account for. Culture is addressed and in the OCP, and certainly parks and recreation facilities are addressed in the OCP. Not to the detail that those plans go into, but the OCP is a guiding document. Since we started the OCP, there's a couple more that are coming. A transportation master plan is coming, and also development and design standards are being reviewed by the engineering side of City Hall. So we've got no fewer than 4, major, I guess, initiatives that the OCP, I think, is the umbrella document. It will make sure that all of those things are coordinated together. You shouldn't have one thing saying something different than the OCP. And I think there's a recognition that these all work together in the end. So, in fact, we're working hard on making sure that the integration occurs and there's alignment between all of these. So by the end of 2023, you asked me that question again, and I'll be able to tell you how successful we are at doing that.
And I just want to get back to the interactive events as well. And Brenda, these are meant to be fun and engaging, notoriously engaging, as we say. And you guys have come up with some creative ways to try and get people involved. What sorts of feedback are we looking from residents? Because they touch on several different topics, and there's lots of different ways to give that feedback, isn't there?
There sure is, including, back to that point that Alan was making about integrating with other projects, past and future. The last thing we want to do is wear out Moose Javians either by asking them the same questions over and over. So we're making sure that we're engaging on things that are unique and important to the official community plan, but then where other engagements have already occurred or are planned, we won't cover that. Instead, we'll take what the community's been saying. So yeah, what we're trying to do to be unique is find things that are a bit more fun. I mean, as Alan said, this is a plan that's very much about the future. So we're bringing from our experience, what are some of the big societal and planning trends from other communities, and bringing those here, describing them, and letting people weigh in on how well they think these fit or how important they might be for Moose Jaw to consider. One example is, at our pop-up display, we're letting people vote with bingo chips, and we had a lot of people had a lot of fun with that on the weekend. It's a great and easy way to communicate back to the city. This is something that's emerging that's really important for us to consider. We also have, a variety of display boards and some little videos on our website. There's a lot of information that we are gathering from a variety of sources, whether that be locally, provincially, nationally. Again, we're looking at societal trends. So we're trying to boil that down to some essence and describe them well on some short videos. And that'll help people then maybe complete a survey. So we try to keep it fairly simple. Tell us, green, yellow, red, is this something that's resonating for you? Is it important? Are we doing well? Those kinds of things.
And all ages too, even at the Sportsplex, there's, a great place to be. There's swimming going on, there's a hockey tournament, and there were lots of teens and youth engaging and giving their input. And that's important too, because you said this document is for 10, 15 years down the road. And we all know with kids, in the blink of an eye, they've gone from kids to adults. And then those are the people living here, we hope, under this plan, right? So we encourage anybody of all ages to get their families involved in looking this up. Michelle, any final thoughts?
Well, I think all I'd say at this point is, if you have a chance, please provide any comments you can. If you have any thoughts on how you think Moose Jaw should grow, there's lots of opportunity to engage, and we really, really appreciate the input and the feedback.
Alan, Brenda, have we missed anything?
I think you covered it all really well, Craig. Thank you very much for this opportunity, for sure.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, moosejaw.ca/OCP. It's the virtual open house, and then everything you need to know about getting notoriously engaged with the creation of a new OCP in Moose Jaw is all right there. Brenda, Alan, Michelle, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you very much.